Welcome back to Director's Choice. As Star Wars continues well past the days when it was a new phenomenon that took the world by storm, a few things have become evident. There is more to the Star Wars universe than even George Lucas could have imagined. As we dive deeper into the universe of Star Wars, we're learning that the universe has never stopped expanding. And even while Star Wars movies are being made, worlds are being built outside of the films that move and shape the way future movies will be made. Another thing that seems to be the case is that the films are losing touch with where they came from. The humble origins of Star Wars are far from the universe that it has grown into, and even the fans who once lived and died by the immortal words of the original movies can't get on board with all of the changes that have come about. Star Wars started with a simple vision from creator George Lucas. It was a space western that barely anyone believed in. It was a crazy dream that Lucas bet his future on, and with a vision and a dream, he embarked on an adventure that would create an entire universe with so many details, it's hard to believe it's not real. Another fact about Star Wars is that the works of the fantasy outside of the physical world of the movies becomes increasingly important. In fact, when we look close at the last few big Star Wars blockbusters and the surprising twists throughout, they weren't surprising at all. For example, the connection between Kylo Ren and Rey was old news for most hardcore Star Wars fans, because it was already revealed in the many Star Wars books that paved the way for these movies. Maybe these movies put their own spin on it, but the real fans knew exactly what was coming from the very beginning. As we dive deeper, it feels as though the surprises are really just drawing on fantasy to determine what will happen next. And if that's the route they're going to take going forward, then maybe it's time to bring back some old friends. Some characters that we don't know much about, or characters that we never learned enough about. Characters like the insidious Darth Maul, who only made a brief appearance, but clearly deserved an entire film dedicated to him. Or maybe we should take a closer look at the greatest bad guy that Star Wars ever created. Maybe an entire movie should be dedicated to the original villain in the Star Wars universe. Maybe it's time the fans get what they really want and show the new generations of Star Wars fans where the evil all started. It's time to make a Darth Vader movie. And today, we're going to explain why the world is ripe for a movie about one of the most notorious bad guys in cinema history. It's hard to disagree with the idea of a Darth Vader movie, but in case you have any doubts, we're going to explain exactly why this movie needs to be made. It's what the fans want, the most plain and simple. If you scour the internet for fan-made trailers and pull up the statistics on who gets the most attention, odds are coming up that it's Darth Vader. It's obvious he was the original, and fans want to know more about him. Not in an Episode 1 Phantom Menace kind of way. Fans never asked what Darth Vader's childhood was like, and chances are, if you ask fans on the street what they thought of Episode 1 The Phantom Menace, you wouldn't get a lot of positive feedback. Fans don't care about what Darth Vader was like as a little boy, or maybe they would have if what he was like as a little kid had anything to do with the cruel cape-wearing man in black that he becomes. But it doesn't. Fans want to know what happens after he puts on that black helmet and equips the respirator. Fans want to see Lord Vader in his most evil. But they also want to know what he's feeling after losing the love of his life and falling into a lava pit before being transformed. There are a lot of unanswered questions, and seeing where he grew up doesn't answer any of them. The only thing that would answer those questions is finding out exactly what he was up to all those years prior to everything, including the destruction of the Death Star. Did he find love again? Maybe not love again, but what else was this demon from the dark side doing all those years? The fans demand satisfaction. being that it's the most requested and has the highest number of fan-made trailers. Darth Vader, a Star Wars story, is long overdue. Before they expand the universe any further, before they make any more movies like Solo that don't really touch on anything important in the Star Wars universe, they should re-examine perhaps the singular catalyst for the adoration of the dark side of the Force in more detail. They could make a million more Star Wars a story movies and never touch on anything meaningful or pertinent to the Star Wars universe. Or they could make a Vader movie and actually answer some questions for once. Instead of feeding fans answers to questions they never asked in the first place, how about we jump back to the original long time ago in a galaxy far, far away and get to the root of what it is that makes Darth such a sourpuss? Sure, he lost the love of his life and most of his body was burned in a lava pit. But what was really going on under the hood, besides a weirdly disfigured man with a penchant and pattern of complicated paternity?
I am your father.
This brings us to the next point. Darth Vader is already being done, just not in the movies. Marvel is currently running a comic book series on the time from Darth Vader's transformation to his incumbency as ruler of the evil world. And it's amazing. There are plots and themes in the new comics that were never before explored in the movies, and there is already plenty of source material to draw another movie out of. Why are they wasting so much time drawing up another movie to explain something that no one really cared about in the first place, when they could be making movies based on Vader's adventures in the already successful comic book franchise? The comics explore everything from his complex relationship with the dark side to his forlorn attitude about his lost love Padme. The thing about characters is that there are two sides to every story, and Vader has never really had his story told until now. It's a constant battle between his destiny to pursue the dark side and losing his grip on what made him Anakin and drove him to the dark side. With so few actual appearances in the Star Wars movies, not much is known about what makes Vader tick. And although it's not necessarily canon, the comics provide insight into the misunderstood character and provide more than enough evidence that what we need right now more than ever is the story of Lord Vader, a Star Wars story. Now that Star Wars has, more or less, reached the end of the Skywalker saga, and they are focusing their attention almost exclusively on A Star Wars stories, it only makes sense that they would make Vader a Star Wars story. That's not to say that we aren't thrilled to learn about the plans that helped bring the Death Star down in Rogue One, or some of Han Solo's origins in Solo. But with so little time spent telling stories from the point of view of the Sith, they remain one of the most misunderstood groups in the Star Wars universe. Not that a movie from the point of view of the Sith will necessarily make us believe that intergalactic genocide was warranted, or blowing up planets is a super cool idea we should be on board with. But without the other side's point of view, all we're getting is the good guy's point of view. And maybe, who's to say that they're even that good to begin with, if their story is the only one that we know? Maybe Darth Vader had a greater plan, and if he were able to achieve it, there would be intergalactic peace. It's worth hearing the guy out, is all we're saying, but maybe with an updated voice box, so the movie isn't 7 hours long. We're also very excited for Kenobi, a Star Wars story, which is currently in production, but collectively, that's not what we really want to see.
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
So, now that we've decided all we want is a movie that tells us more about Darth Vader, what would it be about? That is the wonderful thing. It could be about literally anything. Well, except maybe more information about his childhood. Fans would burn down movie theaters if they announced they are doing Star Wars Episode 1 Part 2. But other than that, so little is known about Vader that the possibilities are endless. The movie could focus on his strange relationship with the dark side and the Sith. It could focus on his lost love Padme, or his newfound love for someone different. Maybe not a newfound love, but it could be anything. Maybe underneath that helmet, there is a tinge of regret for his actions, despite his turn to the evil side. One of the great things that Kylo Ren taught us in the latest Star Wars movies is the complicated relationship that the Sith actually have with the dark side. Ren was a brooding mess when forced to choose between his destiny as part of the Sith and doing the right thing. And it eventually led to his demise. There is no telling what kind of mentality Vader was in after losing the love of his life and then being burned alive. And we'll never know exactly what happened until they make the movie that we've all been dying to see. The fact of the matter is, we need a Darth Vader movie. Plain and simple. Star Wars can introduce 1,000 more characters, and the universe can keep expanding far beyond anything we could have ever imagined. But we still want that one thing we wanted from the very beginning. More Darth Vader in our lives. He is the original bad guy that we love to hate, and he's the reason that Star Wars is what it is today. He has cemented his legacy as one of the most hated villains of all time, but it's for that exact reason that we love him so much. Before we completely lose touch with everything that Star Wars is and is supposed to be, it's time to make Vader a Star Wars story and give the fans what they are really after. Thanks for watching. Take a look at this other recent clip by Director's Choice and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified with our latest videos.